Hello there, I'm Azara Tagaya and welcome to another episode of Ringgit Sense, the show where we talk to you about money. Last year, during the tabling of the 2018 budget, the government announced that employers will be allowed to hire directly from 9 countries. This is to save the cost of using maid agencies, which can typically cost around 12,000 to 18,000 ringgit or even more. Now, since then, the Immigration Department has introduced the Maids Online System, or better known as SMO, and promises that the process can be completed in as little as 8 days. Now, the total cost is expected to be between 1,600 ringgit to 2,500 ringgit. However, many employers still have questions about how this will work. Now, in our studio today is the Immigration Department Deputy Director General, Datuk Sharul Ismail, to explain more about how the new maid hiring system will work. Datuk, hi, thank you so much for joining us on Ringgit Sense.
Thank you.
Okay, so the main question that everyone is asking, the question on everyone's mind, how exactly do you go about the process of hiring a maid by yourself?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank TV3 for inviting the Immigration Department to explain a little bit about our new system, which is, I must say, it's not yet a foolproof system. Let's say a perfect system, but it's still under a trial system where we try to improve as time goes by. But for first and foremost, you have to have, in order for you to join this online maid system, you have to have your own candidate for the maid. Yeah, the candidate must be already here in this country through either a valid social visit pass or an expired social visit pass, meaning they are overstaying in this country. And for the second category, just now I mentioned that they can be registered either as an overstayer. Their valid social pass must be last year in 2017 only. They cannot be before 2017. Okay. Must be from the 1st of January 2017 to the 31st of December 2017 for their valid social pass. And then expired, and then now they are overstayers or illegals, and then they can also join into this system.
Okay. Okay, so if someone wants to hire a maid who has overstayed, what exactly is the whole process that you have to go through? How do you actually use the maid online system? Okay,
as I mentioned just now, there are 2 categories: the one with the valid social visit pass, and the one with an expired social visit pass. So there are 2 categories of candidate in this system. So for the overstayers, first of all, they have to make themselves legal by coming to the Immigration Department, and pay some compound up to the maximum of 900 ringgit. And then after that, after paying the compound for the compound and the special passes, they have become legal, and they can go to the maid online at imi.gov.my to do the next process.
Okay. So how many applications have you received so far since it's been launched?
There are 2016 employers managed to log into our system, meaning they have to register, receive their password and their username, and then log into the system. And currently, up until today, there are 2016 employers managed to log into our system, and there are 35 maids being registered into the system.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned just now that for employers that want to go through this process, they have to actually have a maid in mind first, someone they want to employ. So for the people who have already sent in their applications, where did they actually get the candidates from?
Some individual coming into this country as a tourist, and then they started to approach somebody
for a job.
Looking for a job, and they said they are very good at doing cooking, cleaning, and whatnot. So that would-be employer is interested in hiring them. So that is some of the way that we can get this maid to be registered under this system.
Okay. And similarly, can employers go to the countries like Indonesia or the Philippines by themselves to actually source for a maid? Can they do that?
Unfortunately, the answer is no.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have to abide by all these laws, rules, and regulation in all of those 9 source countries. We advise that people or the would-be employer don't do that. They just have to find means and ways to employ the would-be mate which are already in this country.
Already in Malaysia. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Dato'. We're going to go for a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking more about the actual costs of hiring a maid. More on that when we get back on Ringgit Sense. Back on Ringgit Sense, and we are talking about the cost of hiring a maid. In the studio with us today, we have Dato' Sharul Ismail, the Immigration Department Deputy Director General, to talk more about this topic. Okay, Dato', now before the break, we talked about how we can actually go through the process. So now we want to talk about the costs. How much, what kind of salaries can employers expect to pay the maids that they employ?
Thank you once again, Nazaria. Under this system, we do not really exactly specify how much the employer have to pay the maid. It is just an agreement between the two, as long as the maid agreed on the amount of money or the sum of money being offered by the employer. It's just fine to us. We don't really specify what is the minimum figure, or they can pay as many as they like, and as long as there is an agreement between them that the maid is willing to become their maid with a specific amount of money, or if the maid is asking for some amount of money and the employer agreed to pay them, then it's okay to us. We don't really specify the minimum amount of money under the system.
Okay, but will it be significantly lower than going through a maid agency?
Okay. The one I mentioned just now is on the salary. But if you were to go to agency, you have to pay to agency. You have to pay various amount of money, like
the agent fee.
The agent fee and whatnot. Now can go up to 15,000 ringgit. But as for our system, you only have to pay for the maximum amount of between 1,445 ringgit to 2,345 ringgit. For the 1,445 ringgit, it is under the category 1, which is the temporary visit pass, which is still active. And if they are the overstayers, they have to pay 2,345, including the compound in the maximum amount of 900 ringgit.
Okay, so what are some of the source countries that employers can actually look at with the new system in place?
Under this new system, we still maintain the source country of the current system of maid application. So these countries are Indonesia, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Cambodia, India, Laos, Vietnam, and also Nepal.
Okay, so with the most popular being Indonesia, Philippines, and Cambodia, but of course, as you mentioned just now, we cannot hire directly from those 3 countries. But Cambodia has recently agreed to allow their citizens to work in Malaysia after a previous ban. So when can employers start hiring Cambodian maids again?
Since we are talking about this on this as SMO, or in Malay we call it system maid online, or the maid online system, only applicants or only candidate which are already in Malaysia is allowed to join or is allowed to be employed as a maid. If they are already in Malaysia, they can be employed.
So if the Cambodian maid is already in Malaysia, then we can continue to employ them. Okay. Are you open to any suggestions to maybe fix some holes in the system, if any, at the moment?
This is a new system. We are looking into it, and we are trying to improve as time goes by. In fact, this is already since after a few days of launching this system, we have already find a few flaws into this system, and we are trying to fine-tune the system. We expect some problem, some major or maybe minor glitches in the system, and we'll rectify it as it comes.
Okay.
Yeah, but right now I cannot foresee any that is coming, at least just not yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so have you gotten any feedback from the employers that have actually sent in their applications so far?
So far, they are saying that it's a good system. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are getting 2016 employer already registered and managed to log in into the system. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see more about the system, and when we come back on Ringgit Sense, Dato', we'll be talking more about the actual cost of hiring a maid in Malaysia with the new maid online system, or SMO. More on that on Ringgit Sense. We're back on Ringgit Sense, still talking about the process and also the cost of hiring a maid with Dato' Syahril Ismail. Dato', back to our discussion, talking about hiring a maid through the SMO system. What actually happens if your maid runs away? What can the employers do?
Since there are only about 35 maid being registered, being registered so far, and of course there are no PRKS or Pasautan Kerja Sementara being issued, and of course currently there are no maid runaway, at least not yet.
Yes.
But assuming there is a case, will the employer have to do a police report and then make a report to us. We will blacklist the maid since we have their biometric registration. We know even if after that they will run away from one employer and decided to try her luck with another employer, we will be able to detect her.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So talking about actually acquiring a maid in terms of signing the contract, do we actually need to sign a contract with the maid, and what are some of the terms and requirements of that contract?
Part of the requirement in this system is for the employer to submit the contract to us for us to review. And of course, in this agreement, they have to specify what kind of, how much the salary being paid by the employer. And of course, the place of stay, whether they are going to stay in the house or somewhere else. And then about the working time, and of course on the leave. Maybe if under the system, we allow the maid to take a one-day leave. And if the employer does not allow them to take a leave, they have to compensate for some amount of money. And if that's agreeable and being signed under the document, they can submit to us. And I must say that this is a requirement under this system for the employer to submit their contract to us.
Okay, so where can employers actually get a sample of the contract to see what some of the terms that they need to put in there?
We have our website, the immigration website. They can download the sample of the contract and follow exactly or as close as possible, and then go to the Commissioner of Oath, have their signature and being witnessed by this signed and chopped by the Commissioner of Oath and sent to us after that. Yeah, you can get it from our website. Yeah.
Okay. So now with the new system in place, people can actually hire the maids directly. Will there still be a need for maid agencies?
Before we introduce this system, we have an engagement with Papa, Mama, and also Pickup, which are the main association for this maid agency. We briefly told them on how this new system will work. And as they look at it, they knew that this is just a complementary system which will operate concurrently with what they are doing right now. And I think they saw some opportunity inside the system. Maybe if somebody having difficulties in getting a maid, maybe they can give a suggestion. Maybe they can approach these agents, but the payment, of course, is slightly different from our cost structure. They have to pay for the agent. Maybe the agent can give a name, and then they take the names of the maid and register it under our system.
Okay.
And they have to maybe slightly less than what they should be paying if they were to allow the agent to start the process from the very beginning until to the end.
I see. Okay, now finally, what's your one piece of advice to our viewers watching today, potential employers who are thinking of actually hiring a maid in the future? What's your tips for them?
Yeah, go online, find a maid. I'm sure there are a lot of potential maid outside looking for potential employer. I think as the news spread, I think more and more people will find a suitable candidate which are already in this country.
Okay, thank you so much, Dato' Syahril Ismail, the Immigration Department Deputy Director General, for sharing with us today on the actual costs and the process of hiring a maid directly. Well, now that you've heard how you can actually hire your own maid, we also spoke to a maid agency and asked them what are the services that they provide. Are maid agencies actually still relevant? Well, we went to visit one maid agency to find out the answers.
We visited agency Pekerjaan Afif in Petaling Jaya, the company that spearheaded the One Maid Facility and Training Centre, or 1M FACE. After having already undergone up to 200 hours of training in their source country, these foreign domestic helpers undergo a few more courses at 1M FACE to help them familiarize themselves with the working culture and languages used in Malaysia. The learning process includes classes and lectures, visual presentations, practical training, and group activities.
We have a total of 7 trainers, 4 Malaysians, 2 Indonesians, and 1 from Philippines. Okay, these are trainers who are trained all maids from foreign countries such as Philippines and Indonesia. Currently, at the moment, we have around 45 maids undergoing for training for 1 week to 2 weeks period of durations of training. Okay, all these maids who come from source country like Indonesia and Philippines, they have undergone training as well at their own training center in their source country. But the idea of having one maid facility and training center is for us to enhance their skills, to ensure that they have a standard that Malaysians employers needs. So currently we have 3 types of training. One is induction course that will take around 14 days. The second training is retraining. That means the maid already been dispatched to the employer, but the employer asks us to enhance their skills. And then the third one is training for specific training, like for elderly, for infant. So very specific. So we have 3 types of training. Besides that, we also have counseling sessions for maids who are somewhere like homesick. You know, they are not sure what to do, where they need more guidance and directions from us.
So for employers who are probably watching Ringgit Sense and they want to know the cost breakdown of hiring a maid through an agency, how much would that actually cost the employer?
The current rate depends from country to country. Okay, if from Indonesia, the rate will be around 15,000 to 17,000. It all depends on whether the maids have previous experience, like have been working with at a different country like Saudi, like Singapore, Hong Kong. The rate will be different because they are more experienced. And from Philippines, the rate is a little bit lower, but the salary is higher. So the rate is currently around 11,000 for Philippines. Okay, currently the salary for Philippines is USD 400, and for Indonesian maid is currently around 1,000 to 1,200 per month. I think the government is giving an options to the potential employer to choose either to do it themselves or to appoint an agency. Okay, if they want to have more budget, they will do it themselves. And if they want easy way to find maids and get a trained maid, they will find the agency to do it. I think it's options to the employer actually for this. Yeah, and we support the government's decision on this. Coincidentally, when we established this 1M phase, at that time there's no announcement about the direct hiring. So after a budget in October, so when the Prime Minister announced, so we look, this is a potential for us. I.e. to say that when there's a direct hiring for maids, basically employer are taking maids solely from their own village. They go and find from their friends to get a maid for them. So when they come here, if they think they want to send a maid for a training, this is a place that they can send for training. The other way is if the potential employer have their own candidates in respective source country, because we have 9 source country they can bring maids here, so we can do the processing for them. You know, because we have contacts from agency to agency with a different country, so it makes it easier for them in terms of documentations. You know, so we have all these counterparts at all our source country, so we can assist them on that. Okay, actually we are looking forward for a Cambodian maid to come in there, where government have been has signed the MOU with the G2G. And we are looking forward for this, and we are contemplating that if the governments agreed that this place can be a model for the government in Malaysia to ensure that the proper training from the Cambodian maids can be sent here for a training before we can send or dispatch it to the respective employer. Okay, as we know, hiring a maid is not an easy business. It's full of risks actually. Even we with a license and we have a counterpart, there are times that the maid that they promise is not delivered to us. So these are the things that the potential employer have to look into very carefully, particularly when they are engaged with agents that they not even know the background of the agent. So on the other side of it, if they goes to the agency, so we are a proper systematic agency and being recognized by government in Malaysia and also recognized by our counterpart in respective source country. So my advice to them is be very careful unless you know for sure the maid that you want to bring is worth taking the risk. If not, might as well you get a guidance or assistance or a service from the maid agency who are experienced on this particular matter.
Well, there you have it. If you want to watch the interviews that were aired today, go to our Facebook page, Ringgit Sense TV3. That's all the time we have for this episode. I'm Azara Tagaya, and I will see you next week.